Welcome to the business of being healthy, where we are passionate about treating our health as good as we treat our wealth. Sheley Brien here, and I am obsessed with sharing real-life experiences and wisdom to help save you time, heartache, and money as you continue to grow personally and professionally. Twice a week, we push aside that BS to take massive intentional action. And I promise by tuning in, you will receive the straightforward talk you've been waiting for, filled with actionable steps that will inspire you to achieve the health and wealth you desire while you are building your empire. Today's episode is so perfect. It's my last interview for 2023. And I want to say I saved the best for last, but all the interviewees were so fantastic. However, today's guest is someone that has made a profound impact on me this year. And I am incredibly honored to have her on. And the conversation that we are going to have is going to be obviously very business focused. That being said, there's going to be some new perspectives in here that might just kind of open you up a little bit as we enter into the new year. And so with that, I want to welcome in Rana Sabra. And she is someone that, like I said, has absolutely inspired me, but it's her mind. And it's the knowledge and the experience. So as we get into it, I just can't wait for this. But Rana, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. I mean, your show has brought in amazing guests. Your insights were always like the latest insights on business, on health, and so on. So I'm so honored to be here, and I'm so honored to actually know you. The
Oh.
conversations we have are always enlightening.
Oh my gosh, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Well, let's do this to kind of get us off and get us started because you have a very diverse background. And I want you to actually take a moment and explain, like, if you were talking to someone new, how would you explain if they said, "What do you do?"
So to summarize it all, I'm a business strategist focusing on marketing mainly, and I'm a business coach for female entrepreneurs. At the same time, I'm a published academic researcher and I'm a university professor. And I'm a public speaker and I'm a mom and I'm a global business owner. So, in a nutshell, everything that rotates around marketing, research, knowing why people think how they think, why people buy what they buy and how they buy it, that's my specialty. And that's what I'm constantly researching and helping people, clients, and students understand and figure out. So this is to sum it all up.
And you did that much better than I ever could have. But what I love, and I hope that all the listeners picked up, was the research side of things and the understanding the why. So there is going to be a lot of depth in this conversation because it's not the top line fluff that you see on social media. We're going to go deep here. And what I'd love for you to kind of start, because you said global, and just share a little bit about you, because what I love about you is your perspective. And so, born in Lebanon.
Yes.
All right.
Born in Lebanon, born in Beirut, and with defying all of the odds and the cultural, because I was born in the 80s. So there were a lot of cultural barriers for women to go into business. And I remember the first time I saw a billboard, I think I was 13 years old. And I was like, the person who created that billboard, like, what were they thinking? Because I wasn't surrounded by anybody. I didn't know anyone who went to business school.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody I knew was in science, in engineering, or in medicine and stuff like. No one would go to business school, especially as a woman in my surrounding.
Yeah.
And it was just all new to me. And then I went to France and I got my doctorate in business administration, focusing on marketing, also in France. And then found the love of my life and moved to the US. And when I moved to the US, it was also, at first, I was very overwhelmed. I thought, like, I do marketing in Lebanon. I do marketing in the Middle East region and in Europe. It's going to be very different here, and so on. And honestly, the minute I started to get into the market, that's a couple of months after moving here, I realized that just like we read in the books, humans are humans. They all
Mm.
have the same needs all over the globe. It's how you approach it is different. But we all get hungry and we need food. We all want a shelter, so we buy homes. We all have the need of social association, of feeling that we've achieved something. We all have the need to relax. We all have the need to feel healthy and so on. So it's universal, it's global, it's everywhere. But it's how we approach it and the tools that we are able to use. That's the difference. Um, so yeah, so this is mainly me, born in Lebanon, studied in between Lebanon and France, moved back to the US, and I had the imposter syndrome. And I was like, maybe I'm not good enough. So you know what? Let me go back to school here in the US. So I got a degree from MIT and Columbia in digital business transformation and marketing, and realized it was also the same books, the same information that I've studied in Lebanon and France was repeated here because, again, it's all the same.
Wow. And what I love, and thank you for sharing just even the vulnerability of that you had the imposter syndrome and you already had a doctorate,
Yeah.
right? But before you even came here and you still had it. And so like you still had that imposter syndrome, which steered you back towards more education. It seems like education in whole has been a very important aspect of your growth personally and professionally. Now, it's so interesting because I would think like you from the opposite. Marketing in Europe, that is going to be totally different, or the Middle East, it's going to be totally different. But it seems like, based upon your experience, it's very similar because of the needs.
Yes. So I'm going to take a step back to talk a little bit about the imposter syndrome because this is
Mm-hmm.
something um, we give the advice of fake it till you make it, and that doesn't work. That takes us 10 steps back because we will always have that in mind. I think I heard you talk more about that in another episode.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is, as women, the more I work with women, and based on my personal experience, we always tend to want to be in this student syndrome because we are so scared of jumping forward sometimes. So we would be like, okay, you know what? I'll take one more course. I'll hire one more coach. I'll get one more degree, and then I will be ready. And that was my case.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to maybe I'm not ready for the US market yet. Maybe I should get one more degree before I'm ready. And the minute I registered and started studying and having discussions with other students, I was like, no, I've been ready already, long time ago, especially in marketing, because it's all about how you can transform that need into a want. And that want can be, for example, I always give this example to my students in the classroom. When we wake up, who's hungry? I would have a couple of students raise their hand, say, I would wake up hungry. I'm like, you're all in Arizona, similar background, and so on. What do you desire when you wake up? Somebody would say a bagel. Somebody would say a protein shake. Somebody would say a cereal. And I'm like, see, it's the same need, but the want has changed. So just figure out what is the want of your customer based on their psychology, based on their personality, their purchasing power, and so on the culture they're from, and so on. And then you will be able to sell them something that will satisfy that need.
So I absolutely love that you shared that. And the marketing, like I cannot wait for the in-depth marketing conversation that we're going to have. And that was such a great start. Before we dive in there, I want to sit on something for a second because what I loved is that you said, and this, our conversations here on the show, it's about like real world going through it so that we can hopefully help someone else who might be going through it right now. When you came over and you were like, okay, I need to get another degree. And you said, we all have had that. I can't tell you the courses I have bought. I can't tell you like the mentor I have hired or stuff because I didn't feel like I was worthy of it. I think that was part of it. But why do you think that we are always searching for like something else to then give us permission to step into who we are?
So a lot of the time, so for example, my personal experience was because when I moved here, unfortunately, I faced a lot of discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
So when you face discrimination, and it's not because I'm Lebanese. Again, the more I researched this and the more I talk to women, discrimination exists even among the same culture
Mm-hmm.
and people from the same ethnicity and same background. So, and women more than men face discrimination. So the more we face discrimination and we are told no for no valid reason, the more we would think that, okay, there is something missing in me. So if you know that you have the brain capacity to make it happen, and if you know that you have enough passion in you to make it happen, but you're still scared, you would be like, okay, maybe I need more knowledge. Maybe I need not more men on the other side. They would be like, I'll practice more. I'll take that client. I'll learn while I help that client how to grow. While women would be like, you know what? I'm not ready. Let me go get 3 more degrees, 3 more courses, and then I will come and be happy to help you. So this is the difference because we, as women worldwide, we face discrimination against us. Sometimes we're not able to rationalize that. So we decide that this is happening because I'm lacking something. How can I fix that thing that I'm lacking? Some people would do what I did, like I'll go get a degree. Other would be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna wait till I lose the weight. I'm gonna wait till I save the money. I'm gonna wait till there is always something. I'm gonna wait till something happens and then I'm ready. And all what we're doing is actually postponing it because we're so scared to jump in.
Hmm. So I love where this is going because here's what I heard from what you just shared is because I can even see this like in my daughter. I can see it in my son too. And there was a couple things that you said. The fear of like getting a no, right? Doing something and getting a no can be more scary than getting the yes. On the inverse, though, getting the yes can be scary because then we can feel like we are inadequate to service
Yeah.
that client.
Yes.
And I love that you showed the comparison. And men versus women, I think is great, but it even happens with men. I've seen it. And it for sure happens with women. I've experienced it. Is do we go get another skill? Because that's something that we can quantify. I don't have this skill. I am going to go get more. I'm going to find the expert, take the course, get the degree to enhance the skill. Where others choose, I'm going to go put in the reps. And it's
Yes.
okay. Let's just go put in the reps. Let's go do the work. We will learn as we go. And it's even like I look at Chris is a go get the reps, men versus women, right? He's go get the reps, but he researches everything so that his reps are a little bit more intentional than just going. Where I'm like, let me go talk to the expert in this, understand their perspective. I'll probably read something and then I'll make a choice.
But if
Right?
you notice also, Chris, I don't know, but you tell us if this is right.
Yeah.
I see a lot of the men who would do the research while they are applying.
I think that's fair. Yes. And I absolutely think that's a fair comment. And what is interesting too is I think age plays into this because I can tell you in my late 20s and my 30s, all I could do was like prove my worthiness to be at the table. And now into my 40s, I'm like, I'm making my own table and I will
Exactly.
choose who gets to sit there.
Yes.
And I don't know. I do think that it's funny. I've been listening to some very profound people and I do think that there is things that we can do for our kids now to help them have that mindset and transition at a much faster pace, hopefully, than it took us. Like me, it took me into my 40s for me to be like, I am going to go make my own table and I will choose who sits at it. I had to go through all those experiences. So I don't know if I can help I'd love to get your perspective on this. I don't know if I can help my kids. I'm trying. I'm thinking about different ways. I'm trying different things, conversations I never had with any adult when I was a child, especially their age 11 and 13, but to bring them to the table faster.
Yeah.
But I think the best teacher out there is experience.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I love how you did the comparison between you and Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's the same thing. There's no magic pill, but kind of those who are actually able to get the best of both worlds,
Mm-hmm.
where I'll get the knowledge, but I will be also implementing. I think
Mm-hmm.
those are the ones who make it till the end.
Yep. Yep.
Those are the ones who actually will be able to make it faster there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then, because if you are just practicing, but you're not getting the knowledge, and we see that a lot on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just practicing. I'm just posting every single day. Yes, you're posting every single day. You will have followers. You will get a lot of followers. Does
Mm-hmm.
it mean that those are the followers that you are able to serve? Not necessarily.
Yep.
Does it mean that those are the followers who will buy your products? We can't prove that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those who get the knowledge of what do I want to sell, how do I want to sell it, create that while I'm posting, while I'm doing, those are the ones who actually are able to be of service to others while also growing.
Yep. Yep. So let's talk a little bit about that because I think so much of it is strategy
Yeah.
that comes behind it. And you hit the nail on the head. I know I went through it when I was like, everyone says post every day, right? And I'm doing air quotes if you're watching this on YouTube, but it's like everyone says post every day. Okay, well, like, what do you post about? And I literally just recorded an episode. It should be out before this one talking about metrics because metrics are so powerful to be able to understand your effectiveness in a
Yeah.
lot of areas of life. But I'd love for you to just share a little bit about strategy when it comes to this is kind of a broad question, and maybe you could narrow it down to the most important things that you've seen based upon your experience. But strategy with like the overall marketing plan, like where does social media fit in? Where does the messaging fit in? What is it, the chicken or the egg? Which one comes first in your experience?
So to be very clear, a lot of the information that's out there is wrong. But at the same time, we have a lot of people who are putting out like real information that would actually help. Not everybody needs to hire a coach for their marketing. It will get you there faster. But also, if you just listen closely to the right people, you will get all of the answers you want. So when it comes to strategy, just focusing on social media, this is not a strategy. And saying that, oh, I don't do social media, I don't have the time, I'm too shy in front of the camera, and so on, that is also not a strategy. Yes, a business can grow through only one of those channels, but you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're leaving a lot. If you come into any kind of business, regardless of what it is, with the mindset that I am here to serve, that there is somebody, I'm going to help them solve their problem. Whether you are an event planner, whether you sell jeans, no matter what you do, in your head, all I'm thinking of that one person, not a target segment, not like the 1,000 people who fit my criteria, just one person, give her or him a name, give them a name and just say, okay, this person needs me because I'm going to help them move away from pain or closer to pleasure. This is it. This is the whole marketing strategy. People want one of those two things, away from pain, closer to pleasure. Nobody buys something just because they want to buy something. It has to be solving a problem for them or making them happier, better, and so on. So once I'm focusing on just this one person, I create a 360 degrees marketing strategy around them. What touch points, where are they going to see my brand? And by the way, we're talking about the brand really quick. Nobody buys your product because you have a beautiful logo, or your website, you spent $15,000 on your website. Your clients don't care about that. They want to receive consistency in every single touch point. I go to your website, I see the same information that I'm going to see on your social media, that I'm going to see on your flyer, that you're going to tell me about when I see you in person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the combination of being consistent in your message, not being consistent in how many times you post on social media, but being consistent with your message. And your message should not be about you. We always misunderstand this, especially when we see influencers telling stories about themselves. Storytelling is amazing, as long as I'm using it to show my audience that I know what you feel, that I've been in your shoes, that I've held somebody who was in your situation. Customers buy from us when they feel understood, not when we understand them. And that makes the biggest shift in our messaging. It's all about their pain points, and it's all about the transformation that they're going to achieve. You're going to feel confident. Nobody cares how many stitches are in the jeans that you're selling me. But I do care if you tell me that this jeans is going to make me feel confident. I do care if you tell me that this is the only jeans I'm going to need to buy for the next 2 years and I'm going to be saving money. So depending on who you are trying to target, see what their pain points and see what the benefits that they are seeking. And that's your whole messaging strategy. It's not rocket science. But it's easy. Marketing becomes easy and simple when you understand that the person you're selling to is a human. They have needs, you understand their needs, you get to know them and focus on them rather than on the features of your brand and look at me and look at my product, how awesome it is. So keeping the mindset of service and keeping the mindset that you're selling to another human, no matter what you are selling. So I think hopefully this summed up the whole marketing strategy.
No, it did. And there's some really good, I mean, there's amazing things you said in there, but a couple things. We brought it back to like you are serving another person potentially like you because you've probably been through the certain pain point or you understand it, that now you can then transition and sell it. Product, service, you can now offer to save someone, pain or take them to what they want much faster.
Yeah.
Right. So I love that you brought it back to serving someone else. And it's so funny. I highly encourage everybody to go back and listen to that because what Rana shared is it is easy. We like to make things so challenging and so hard. But when you really cut through all of the baloney and get down to it, it really is easy when you focus on the other person. And how would you, this is because it's almost, people have probably heard carrot or stick, and they might refer to themselves, are you a carrot person or are you a stick person, right? The carrot out in front of like the donkey and the donkey keeps walking, hopefully trying to get the carrot, or someone from behind smacking you with the stick, right? This was used a lot when I was in corporate America in a lot of the ways that they would incentivize their sales staff. Some would be a carrot, some would be a stick. They obviously did it both ways, and that was incentivizing a sales team. Okay. Then the flip side is marketing, is understanding what your client wants. How do you help someone that you're working with understand that difference? Because I think that can absolutely change the marketing message in whether it's a pleasure point or a pain point. How would you separate that a little bit more just to provide some clarity around that?
So first of all, I just want to clarify something. When you are doing your marketing strategy and you're looking at whether it's the carrot or the stick, because you want to say, okay, how much, especially in the service industry, how much am I going to charge? Because how much money do I want to make by the end of the year?
Yep.
So every business strategy, regardless what kind of strategy, we always say start with the why, right?
Mhm.
And when we say start with the why, people start thinking because I want to end world hunger, or it's because I want to buy a home, a new house. So it's always one of those two extremes. But when you start by saying, okay, I need my why to be something outside of me and something inside of me. So I'm going to give you an example of myself. When I moved, stepped a little bit away from the agency and started working on business coaching for women, it was because my why, I want to help other women because I didn't have anybody who put their hands out for me and said, hey, I'll pull you forward. So I want to be that person who pulls those women forward. So this is my outside why. My inside why is creating a community of women. So when my daughters are old enough, there are other women around them who would say, hey, take my hand, I will pull you forward. So it's something that's personal for me and something that's outside of me. So once I know my why, I will be able to know what are the pain points and what are the benefits that that client is seeking. Because I'm looking at that woman who looks like me, who was me 20 years ago, who was me 10 years ago. What did I really want? What has helped me? What was something that made a difference for me? What's my overwhelm? So this is if your target audience is someone who's you or when in your previous life. But if I'm selling to somebody who's not me, completely different. I've never been in their experience. Let's say I'm uh, I'm a doctor, I'm a physiotherapist. I've never had the pain, but I need to help those women or those people, this segment. I would talk to them. And the best messaging is it's not the carrot, it's not the stick. The best messaging is using the words of the people you want to serve. So I start with my clients in a very simple, basic way. Take your phone, and I'm sure every one of us on our phone, there are 5 to 10 people in your contact list who need or want the service or product that you are selling. And send them a message. Ask them. Let's say I'm selling, again, let's say stick to the jeans. I'm selling jeans. And just ask them, hey, when would you think of about buying a new jeans? And what do you want in that new jeans? What makes you buy a new jeans? How much would you be willing to pay for a jeans? Very simple. I have some clients even send it as a voice message. Every time I'm launching something new, I do that also. And then ask those people, they are your friends, they are your family, they are people in your life, and say, hey, you can either send it back to me as a text message, respond back as a text message, as a video, as a voice note, whatever you want. And you have 10 people. This is your market research. Look at the words they've used. Somebody might say durability. Okay, that's something. That's the transformation they're looking for. Somebody might say, oh, I just don't want to spend so much money on it. I want to be able to buy the jeans and the top, for example. So whatever it is, they're going to tell you this is the market research. You don't need to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to big companies to do the research, because guess what? Nobody knows your audience more than you, because you have the product, you know what you're selling. Just ask them, how can I improve this? What more would you want? And just trust that the people in your life want to help you. If you're in the service industry and you want to launch something, you want to launch a coaching business, but you don't know what type of coaching business you want to do, ask your friends. What is one thing you would always come for advice from me? What is one thing that you would want my help with? That's your superpower. And what better way to sell than sell through our superpowers instead of going on Instagram and seeing, oh, what's the majority selling? Now everybody is a business coach. I need to be a business coach. Now everybody is a health coach. I need to be a health coach. You don't have to be like everybody else. Find a niche for you. Find what makes you happy and what the world wants from you.
Okay, so did everybody pick up on the research side right there of Rana? Like that is something though, we talk a lot about intentional action here on the show. With guests or just even on the solo episodes, we talk about that intentional action. And I think that is one huge tactical takeaway that everybody can pull. This is the pearl, the gold from this episode. There's gonna be more, but here's one tactical one you just shared, and I just absolutely love it. And again, made it easy. We do not need to make it hard. We do not need to spend ridiculous amounts of money. Is ask these questions. They will tell you, then you can provide the service, right? And so I love that you just shared that in a tactical way that we can all, be able to do that because we do have that time, and those 10 people do care about us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they'll be more than happy. I've actually done this on a personal perspective, the same strategy, not from a marketing, but from a personal perspective in personal growth for me and reaching out. And it's got to swallow a little ego, listen in, and learn from it. And so before we move on, I've got one question for you. Like, what are some wives' tales or some old stories that people believe when it comes to marketing that are completely false?
One easy thing is that you need to be posting every day.
Okay.
Like that's the easiest. That's the first one that comes to mind is and the other one is that I need to keep my customers happy. No, I don't. I
Okay.
need to serve my customers. I need to do everything that I usually do to make sure that I'm delivering on my promise, but I don't have to make everybody happy because I'm not for everybody. And I'm not interested in being for everybody. It's not an ego thing, but it's a reality. There are
It's a
7
clarity.
billion people on this planet. Now, I shouldn't expect that all 7 billion people to love me, or I'm not gonna love all 7 billion people. I'm not gonna like everybody, and not everybody's gonna like my style, like the way I talk, I present my ideas, and so on. So why do you really need to keep on impressing everybody? But yes, you definitely need to serve your customers. You need to exceed their expectations, but exceed their expectations in the way you plan to, not in the way they expect. So this is, to simplify it, is we always think that we need to do what the customer is expecting us to do. While in reality, we need to set the expectations where our business stands out, where we are competitive, where we are over delivering, but we set the boundaries. I'll give you an example. I do over deliver for my clients all the time. But if my client sends me a text message at 9 p.m. or on a Sunday, I'm not going to respond. Am I going to say, hey, don't never send me a message on Sunday? No, because they are they and I'm me. They can send the message on Sunday, but I decide that I'm going to respond back to it on a Monday. I set the expectations at the beginning. No matter what they do, I don't move my boundaries.
Oh, that's such a good piece of advice. I love both of those. Like the not posting every day. I would rather send those text messages to understand the person that you're serving so much more than if you're going to allocate time, right? You're probably going to get an increased ROI on understanding and researching your market more than just posting because you're checking a box and posting every day. So I love that.
Can
Go
we
ahead.
take a second to just talk about this for a
Yeah.
second?
Yeah.
Because it just breaks my heart every time I see a lot of, especially women, like stopping their business and not growing because they're not able to post every day because they don't have the time, they don't have the strategy, and so on. And the reality is, let the algorithm work for you. Don't work for the algorithm. The algorithm will continue to change constantly. It doesn't mean that we don't post. I always want you to be posting. I always want you to be putting out content and so on, because it helps with your self-confidence. It helps with keeping the momentum, and it helps in keeping your message out there. But if you're not able to post every day, I don't stop my business. I run some ads. So for the past few weeks, I haven't been able to be consistent with posting, but I didn't stop my ads because I didn't want my business to stop. Because
Hmm.
Meta actually wants you to spend the money on the ads, because that's how they're going to make the money.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to succeed with those ads. So there are always different ways for your business to keep moving forward without you sticking to this is what they told me. This is how I should be doing it. Create your own path in how you want to do it.
Yeah. I really love that. And it all comes back to and this is just my opinion. What I'm hearing from you is like intentional action. When we just are doing things to just check the box, right? Because we feel the pressure of what everybody else is doing, that is going to actually create more stress and anxiety and pressure rather than doing the smart things. And I love that you said, like, make the algorithm work for you, not you work for the algorithm.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Now, I want to transition because I want to make sure that we touch on your global perspective
Yes.
because you are doing some incredibly amazing things from a global perspective. You already have that global perspective, but you're actually now doing it. So just because you came to the States doesn't mean you're like, okay, this is where I am. Like you absolutely have that perspective. I'd love for you to share this event that you held
Yes.
recently. Tell us a little bit about that and even share I would love to hear just it's not necessarily the differences, but the surprises.
Mm-hmm. So 4 years ago, I met this lady. I was in a program, enrolled in a program for Tony Robbins, and I met a lady online. She lives in Qatar, and then she introduced me to a friend, and we started like having kind of accountability calls. And the more we talked, the more we realized that we wanted more. We wanted to be around other women who don't share with us where they've achieved, what they've achieved, but who would share how they are achieving it. You know, the ugly part of entrepreneurship. We wanted to be in rooms where women were actually global rooms that you would have different ethnicities, mindsets, nationalities, languages, and so on. So we decided we're going to do it ourselves because we couldn't find that room. We couldn't find, just like you designed your own table, we couldn't find that room. So we're like, okay, we're going to design that room for ourselves. So we started the Global Business Women, which is a business, it's based in London. And the reason is we chose London because we felt that that was the most global city for us and includes all of the fields that we wanted for our members. It's an exclusive networking group. We do events for female entrepreneurs. We had our first event in Qatar, in Doha. I've never been to Doha. So I'm Lebanese, but I've never been to Doha. And people think that all Middle Eastern countries are the same. They're not. Every country has its own feel and its own culture and so on. And I was so shocked because and Qatar is not a big country. I walked into that room and it was extremely diverse. We had Canadians, we had Americans, we had Lebanese, we had Iraqis, we had Qatari. We had 8 to 9 different nationalities in that room. I was scared because we were going to talk about social media, and I was like, okay, I don't know like how people are going to take that personal branding. Is it going to be the same? My partners were talking about like processes and management and HR and so on. And guess what? It was exactly the same reaction. It was the exact same questions I receive when I go guest speaking here in Arizona. It was the exact same questions in Qatar. So the women had the same barriers, They had the same blocks. They wanted the same things. Their pain points were the same. And even the approach was the same. The language differed a little bit sometimes, but that was a big surprise for me. I've always thought that yes, humans are humans, we all need the same thing and all of that. But I thought as entrepreneur, it might be different as female entrepreneurs around the globe, but it's exactly the same. Sometimes certain barriers differ, but based on the culture, but it's not the big ones. And the other surprise was realizing that women around the world, because even my last trip to the UK recently, last month, we had another I was part of another women's event. Women around the world more and more want to become global. Women around the world more and more want to learn from another culture. They want to know how you're doing it. Like you're from Arizona, how you're doing this. I want to learn from you. I want to see how I can apply this to my business, to my clients. And you know what? Take this from my culture and apply it to you. Take this from my experience and apply it to you. But it's the same. The resilience is the same among all of those women. And it's so beautiful to see that what brings us together as women is our ability to be resilient and us wanting to push forward. And a lot of those women I've seen here and there and in the UK are wholehearted. Like it's very rare to come across a female entrepreneur who's putting in the work, who just wants to do it because she wants the $1 million. I want the $1 million because I want to help XYZ. I want the $1 million because I want to help this person have a voice. And that was surprising, but that was heartwarming as well.
I love that this theme kind of came up again in the sense that you had this preconceived notion that it was going to be different.
Yes.
And yet you are in this global space in a country that you have not been to, or a location you have not been to. And you got surrounded by women, and the needs and the wants were still very similar.
It was, Shelly, it was like at some point when we were having lunch and having conversation with the other women after the presentations, I was laughing because it was the exact same question I was asked in Qatar by a Qatari lady that a week before I was asked here in Scottsdale. It's just like, it's beautiful, and it shows you that if you want to take your business global, it's easy. Do it. Don't wait. Don't wait till I'm big enough in Arizona and then I will take my business there. There are people everywhere who are waiting to hear from you.
Okay, so I love that you just went there because that's where I was going to go. Is the fact that we can think like global, like holy cow. And this is something that I just really am just so grateful for, this perspective change with, that you have been able to provide me just from that global perspective. And I want to share and talk just for a second about this because number one, like when you hear global, you could think like, oh my gosh, like you just said, like I'll wait till my business is X big, or who am I? I'm this person that owns a construction company in Scottsdale, Arizona. Like what value can I add to overseas or a global perspective, right? So there's that imposter syndrome sneaking in. The flip side of it though, and this is what we shared off air just before we jumped on here, was sometimes, I don't know about everyone listening in, I have felt where I'm like, I can't help all these people. It's just so big. Like my little business isn't going to do it. This isn't going to work. Or how am I going to, it's just, it becomes, I use the word daunting because you look at social media, it becomes so heavy that you feel like who am I? How am I going to do all of this? But I listened to Rana, and this is what I wanted you to share is the global, how many people, 7 billion people in this world. And when you look at that, I just did an episode on this not too long ago, but those feelings are scarcity.
Yeah.
But when you hear about the abundance of opportunities from a global perspective, and you pull back further and you pull back further and look at how many people are still wanting to get ahead, how many people are still craving knowledge and wanting to learn and become better, you can then have a little bit of weight lifted off you. There is so much opportunity out there. And if you can only affect, I say only in a really good way, if you can only affect the 10 clients, but you are literally changing their lives, you have no idea who they are going to affect later on. And instead of looking at, I have to, Scottsdale is such a saturated market on so many different levels. That's a good thing. That
Yeah.
means that there's so many opportunities here. Like you said, we're not for everybody. I don't want to be for everybody. Are you kidding me? And I just want to make sure that we serve the people that we're meant to serve. And so I'd love for you to just share a little bit more about going global,
Mm-hmm.
because you just met someone. This is what I love too. I hope everyone listening and pick this. Met someone, they just started having accountability calls, got another introduction. You kind of got to know these two other women, and you're like, yeah, let's start a
The
business
first
and take
time
it
I met
global.
them actually, the first time I met them actually in person was in Qatar. So
Okay.
we already had the business together for almost a year. We did everything virtual. We hired a company. We registered the company in London virtually. So the first time I met them was one day before our big event together.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So let's talk about that going global. Like if someone is thinking, you know what, I do want to take this global, or I want to participate more globally.
Yeah,
What
just
advice would you offer? Go
so
ahead.
it's two things. Keep in mind that everybody has the same needs all over. So if you're a construction company, um, somewhere on the other side of the world, they are doing construction.
Mhm.
They are there. Start listening to who's the big names there, what they are doing, how they're doing it. And the second, so just have this mindset of they need me there, just like they need me here. I'm going to be changing someone's life there, just like I'm doing here. And the ripple effect is profound. This is one. And two, and this is what I always say, talk to people.
Mm.
The one thing that every time I talk to a client and okay, we have this discussion, we want to take the business global. We're going to grow the business outside the boundaries of your country, whether it's in Lebanon, whether it's in the Middle East, or whether here it's in the US. The first thing that they say, okay, but I don't know anybody. But guess what? There is LinkedIn, there's Instagram, there is everybody is online. So start following those people, get to know them, start a conversation with them. And remember what Gary Vee always says, serve, 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 and then ask. The same thing. Don't jump on someone's LinkedIn and send them a message. Hey, I want to start a business in Saudi Arabia. Do you want to be my client? Or do you want to collaborate? It doesn't work like this. Instead, start the conversation, look at what they're doing, engage with them. Say, hey, oh, I saw your latest post on XYZ, and I love how you're doing it. Would you be able to share a little bit more? Or we do it in a different way here. Would love to have a conversation. Want to jump on a Zoom call? Because once you have the mindset that everybody who's over there also wants to collaborate with you, that makes it easy. But don't go knocking on doors just because you want to sell them something, because then no one is going to buy. But knock on doors because you want to collaborate, you want to know more, you're interested. Again, show them and be genuinely and intentionally interested in what they have to offer, and then ask for collaboration and so on. Like, I don't know if we have time to talk about this.
Go for it.
Um, But a lot of people have been asking me, how do you get to be on TED? On 3 different TEDs globally. So Mexico, USA, and now the UK. And I've seen so many companies out there, and I was one of the clients who I bought like 2 years ago when I decided I'm going to be on a TED stage. I went and I bought this coaching program. It was for a couple of $1,000s to get on a TED stage. And as I dived in, I was like, I'm not going to do this. Like, this is not me. This is not intentional. It's just, I don't like this strategy. And the strategy is that you literally would spam every single TEDx organizer with your list of topics and your bio. The more I got involved into this community of TED, and the more I got to know more TED organizers, event organizers, everybody says the same thing. Oh, we don't even read those emails that people are spamming us with. I even met somebody who said to me, I don't know who's telling people that they should just send us a spam email. Like, we're not organizing an event this year, and still we're receiving all of those bios. So it's very similar. It's very similar. Don't spam people, but have conversations. Be interested. Let's say you want to take your construction company globally. You can take it globally in so many different ways. You can take it globally by collaborating with another construction company, or you can bring the know-how there and help and support other people who are trying to build their construction companies there. Or even better, you can bring somebody from another country, another city to collaborate with you on a big project that you really wanted to take on, but you wanted a competitive advantage. So my competitive advantage is I'm bringing an Italian construction company to help me work on this. So the way for you to get started is look at who aligns with you. Who does the same thing that you do? Before you start looking for clients, look for other people who actually do what you're doing. Listen to them, collaborate with them, interact with them, talk to them, get to know that market through them. Because nobody knows that market more than they do. So instead of doing, again, we go back to the research. Instead of doing a primary research and putting in all of the money and the effort, look to somebody who already has done it, and that's going to be your secondary research, and take from them the know-hows and collaborate with them. So it's all about the collaboration, inviting people to your table and going into other people's rooms and tables.
And what I love, and you said, oh, here comes the research again. These themes are here for a reason, right? So this conversation, we have brought up research from various perspectives. That's what's so neat. It's not just like, I know that sometimes there's a lot of, what is it called? Messy action. Take messy action, which I do believe in. Messy action is better than no action any time of the day. But we all have Google. We all have a phone full of people that are experts in various areas that we can call. That is research in understanding how to do different things. And so I love that research has been a constant theme in this conversation. But what I also love is collaboration.
Yes.
And this is, I used to cringe when I heard this word. Seriously, because in corporate America, it was like, oh yeah, collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. But it was more like it was definitely a stick type of a move. Collaborate like it was like a have to, not a want to, right? Or it wasn't a mutually beneficial collaboration. It was always one benefited more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
And that may happen. That being said, the way that you've talked about collaboration and building relationships, it's the simple things. And just as much as we put, you talked about creating the strategy by thinking about what your client or customer would want, right? It's all about them. Same thing when you're developing a relationship with someone that you want to work with, partner with, collaborate with, build a relationship. Think about how you would want it. Like, it's a great time for you to think, be selfish and be like, wow, I get those messages where people are like, there's even someone you and I know that sent me a message that was like, it was just a sales message. I'm like, you've never messaged me in my life ever. And you just tried to sell me something? Like, no, thanks. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
right? So that same feeling, you want to make sure that you're not doing that to someone else. So how would you want to build a relationship?
So, when you're trying to build a relationship, keep in mind that the other person is a human, and the other person, look at what is common between the two of you.
Mhm.
I'm going to give you an example. So last year around this time, my best friend gifted me a book. And we went to Mexico to the beach, and I was just like around New Year. So we left on the 1st of January. And I was just reading this book, and then I ended up like sitting in the kids were at the beach playing, and I was in bed in tears, like reading the book and sobbing. It was kind of a healing thing for me. So the book was about self-healing and all of that. 2 weeks after this, I had planned for my vision board party 2 weeks after this. And as I was reading this book, in my mind, I was like, I wish every single woman I know would actually read this sentence, would read this paragraph. And I'm like just like reading, sobbing, and taking pictures. I went on Insta, and then I got to a point where I was like, she lives in Arizona. I went on my DMs, and I've never talked to her. Jessica Lamar, huge shout out. And I just sent her a DM. I was like, I'm reading your book. I'm sobbing. This is touching me so much. It's as if you're inside my head and my heart, and you're talking. And I want everybody else to hear this. We're hosting an event. Would you like to come and read a passage from your book? An hour later, she says yes. And then 2 weeks later, we've never met before. I met her at my event. She was there. She shared her story with my audience. She told the community what she felt, how she moved throughout this, how she wrote the book and why she wrote it, and so on. And she was able to touch every single woman's life in that event. So be genuine, be intentional, but be genuine, be vulnerable. Don't put that Instagram face when you're trying to reach out to people. When I reached to Hanan, which is now my business partner, I was like, the way we connected was like, okay, so I'm struggling with A, B, C. Excuse me. I'm struggling with A, B, and C in my business, and I need an accountability person. Would you like to be my accountability buddy? And she was like, you know what? I'm struggling with those two. Yes, let's do it. We weren't trying to sell each other anything. We weren't trying to be like, oh, I'm the thing. I'm the it girl. I'm just like being me. Yes, I'm a businesswoman, but no female entrepreneur, no entrepreneur in general has zero problems, or
Mm,
everything is beautiful. Your problems grow as your business grows.
yeah.
So just being that vulnerable and sharing, you're giving the other person the permission. And also you're telling them, hey, you can be vulnerable as well. Just like we sell when when people feel that they are understood, we create collaboration when the other person feels that we understand them and we got their back.
It's so true. And you humanized it. You
Yes.
humanized it. We can start to put tactics and strategies and plans and all of this. It is okay. Here's your everyone's permission slip, and your story so beautifully shared it. It is okay to be human. In
Yeah.
fact, that's the preferred way. Be human to create those connections. And this vision board party, I didn't get to go last year. I'm definitely going because I hear there's another one, and I'd love for
Yes.
you to share about it. What it is, because you can see the heart that goes into planning it. Rana just
Yeah.
shared one little magical piece from last year, but I know that you're doing this again. Tell us
Yes.
about
So vision boards are so close to my heart. I thought that everybody did vision boards. So when I was young, when I was a kid and there was the war and my mom wanted to distract us from the war, she would bring all of those magazines and she would be like, okay, let's cut out pictures of and imagine what we're going to be doing once the war is over.
Mm-hmm.
So this was how it all started. And then I started working. I went back to I went to corporate, and I wasn't happy in my job. I was like really devastated. It wasn't something I loved. So I was like, okay, what used to make me happy when I was young? So I was like, we used to cut those things. So I started going on Google, getting some pictures, putting them on PowerPoint. We didn't have Canva, we didn't have any of that. PowerPoint, and using it as the like the desktop picture of my computer. And I kept on doing that. And then I started doing when I had the kids, I started and I wanted them to be part of it. So my kids start doing vision boards once they are 3. And I wanted them to be part of it. And they didn't know how to go on Google and search and all of this. So we would cut my pictures and so on. And then my friends heard about it and they were like, oh, I want to do it. So I started inviting people to my house. It started at my house. And then it started growing, and I'm like, okay, I can't fit all of those women in my backyard. So this is going to be our 4th vision board party. We're expecting to have around 60 women. I'm so excited about it because I have a guest speaker who's going to guide us through the science, first of all, of visualization. I want to take a step back and just say that usually it takes 1 to 2 years of anything to be on my vision board, and then it becomes a reality. 2 years ago, I said, I had just the TED the first time, and the second time I had the TED in the same exact corner on my vision boards. In a year and a half, I gave 3 international TED Talks. So this happened. This works. This thing, the vision boards work. So she's going to guide us through the science behind it, and then through like breathing techniques and so on. So we can come up with one word that's going to guide us throughout the year.
Mm.
So each year so last year my word was happy. So that's why anything that did not bring happiness for the past year, I wouldn't do it. And whenever I'm doing something, I always remind myself I have to be happy when I'm doing it. It's like magic. If you're looking for the magic pill to make your business, to make your dreams a reality, vision board is. Because research has shown that the number one reason why people do not achieve their dreams is because they forget about their dreams. So when you have a vision board and every morning when you come into your office, you're looking and you can see exactly where your dreams are, intentionally, you're going to be taking action steps to achieve those dreams. Intentionally, when I go on LinkedIn, I'm looking for somebody who's a TED organizer to connect with them. I'm looking for a coach who's going to help me work out every day because intentionally I have on my vision board a certain health image that I want to achieve. So we're going to do that. We're going to create our vision boards together. We're going to have some yummy finger food. The most important thing is you're going to be in a room filled with like-hearted and like-minded women. Every year we have the vision board. At the end of the event, a lot of collaboration happen among those women. And I always invite women to come, bring your best friend with you. Because because the way we do it is every table, we have only 4 women on every table. You have your magazines in front of you that you're all sharing, your scissors, and so on. There is an exercise that's it's kind of framework that I've created. We go through it to know exactly what we want. It's intentional. We don't just start cutting pictures and putting them on the board. You have to go through that exercise. And then you share your dreams with those 3 other women with you at the table. Do you know what happens? If I'm looking at the magazine and I see something that Sheley has said that she wanted to go to Paris, and then I see an Eiffel Tower, I'm going to take that piece of paper and say, hey, look at this Eiffel Tower. Does it speak to you? So you are verbally communicating your dreams, and you are feeling supported by 3 other women to achieve those dreams. And if you have your best friend with you, guess what's going to happen? She now knows all of your dreams. So when you are having conversations throughout the year, that conversation is going to be guided towards, oh, by the way, did you book that trip to Paris? Oh, by the way, how is it going with your workout? Oh, by the way, did you reach out to that client that you really wanted to talk to? So building that community, having that support for 3.5 hours is going to change the way you're going to do your business for the rest of the year. So this is our event. It's on the 28th of January. It's a Sunday because we want to accommodate for working moms from 3:30 to 6:30. You want to consider this, it's self-love time, it's me time, it's business time, whatever you want to call it, because it includes all of them. It's a place where you can network and grow your business. It's a place where you can verbalize and put your dreams there, and you can dream widely. Don't dream about the small things. You can dream about the small things, but I mean, it's your vision board. Go as wild as you want.
Yeah.
So
I'm a huge believer. So I got to tell you, vision boards are something that Chris and I have done, and then we've also incorporated with the kids. If you have never experienced it before or in a long time, I highly recommend it. So obviously, you can hear the passion behind Rana talking about this, but even if you can't, look into it. Follow Rana on social media. We are absolutely going to link all of you in the show notes. But it's something that I can tell you, it 100% without doubt, if it's on your vision board, it is achievable. I have living proof of them in my house.
Yeah.
And my house is even one of them. So yes, absolutely.
Question for you.
Yes.
So what is one thing you would have on your vision board for 2024?
Ooh, that is a good one. You know what? It's actually TED. So TED is going to be on my vision board. I've already been doing some intentional action with that. So TED will be being able to do a TED Talk will be one of the things on my vision board.
I love that. I love
Yes.
that. Yes, we're putting it out there and we'll work on getting it.
I love that. Yeah. Anyone that's part of TED, I would love to meet you and see how we can help each other. Now, let me do this. Before we close out, I've got one question for you. And you know me, I'm all about reading. I love reading. I think it is a great way to expand your knowledge, to learn, and you get to do it at your own pace, and you get to all the choice of whichever book you want to incorporate. But I love to understand and know, what was the last book that was either gifted to you or that you gifted to someone else?
Okay. I'm just looking at the name. Okay. Because I just don't want to miss the name. There is this book that honestly, I've read it and now I'm rereading it. So I audio a lot while driving.
Yep.
So I read it and I audioed and I'm redoing it, and it's called We Should All Be Millionaires. It's by Rachel Rogers. We Should All Be Millionaires.
Heck yeah.
She is a lawyer who has a million, I think, I'm not sure how much her business is, but she works a lot with female entrepreneurs. I just love her perspective. She's all about diversity, inclusivity. She says things the way they are. She doesn't sugarcoat anything. So this book was recommended actually by my business partner because she was reading and she texted me late at night. She was like, "Oh my God, I'm reading this book. So you guys have to read it." So me and the other partner, me and Isma, just got it, and it just sparked so much in us that we're restructuring the global business women. We're restructuring our own businesses. I'm hiring another personal assistant. It's just amazing. The conversation in there, she just makes it real. It's not like, oh, a lot of people said no to me, but I really wanted to do this, so I pushed harder. No. She tells you, this is exactly what this person has done to me. This is how they said no to me. And this is what I did exactly. And this is how you should be doing it. She even like it's interesting because today I was posting about the job description for a personal assistant. So in the book, she even has a page where she writes the job description for the personal. I just copied, made some changes to this and posted it.
Okay, so that book is already in my Amazon cart. Fantastic. We will link it too, because I think books are such a great use of time. So either you can buy we'll link the Amazon one, but if you get it on Audible, whatever works for you. I love that because I actually haven't heard of it. And coming from you, absolutely going to read that one. So other than Instagram, where's the best place for everyone to find you?
On my website, so it's ranasabra.com, ranasabra.com. That's where you have all of my contact information, and that's where you would have the link also for the upcoming event, for the vision board party. And Instagram, like just DM me, whatever question. I always say, if a woman has a question, a business question, marketing questions, just send me a voice message or a text message, and I will respond back with a voice message or a text message for the best of my knowledge on how I can help you to take the next step.
I
So
love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know that this is one that people are going to save and share, right? So there was so many different pieces in this one that were so valuable on various things. And I just want to acknowledge you for obviously sharing your heart. You could hear it in this conversation, but just providing that different perspective. I know I've told you off air, you've done that for me, but now being able to do that on a wider and wider, breadth and depth to other women, I just think is so powerful. So keep doing you. It is incredible. All right.
thank you so much. And
Absolutely.
honestly, just the conversations we always have and listening to you on the podcast, I don't know, for like 3 months, 4 months now, we've been hanging out more often
Yep.
together, and I'm listening to all of your podcasts and stuff. It's just inspiring. You get people to say the things that actually are going to make a difference in someone else's life, not just the fluff. So
Mm.
thank you for doing that.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. I feel like we could go back and forth. Like, no, you're better. No, no. Thank you so much. That means the world coming from you, and the fact that you listen to the show, not just a guest, not just a friend, but listening. So thank you. And if this hit you, I would just ask, share it, right? Share it with someone else, because the more that we can share these stories of this real kind of, I love that you caught that. That's a gift that I know that I've gotten based upon my professional experience is listening to little nuances that I can dig in, because there is more there than the fluff. We don't have time for fluff anymore. We have time for real action that we can take. So please share it out and you will help someone else. Now, until next time, we'll see you then.